is joining us right now. Hello. Hi there. Welcome.
Hi,
Hey, Chris.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fabulous. I am so excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Welcome to my living room.
Well, it's beautiful.
Thanks, thanks. I gotta like scoot you back a little bit because it's split screen. I'm
No
using my
worries.
doll head here.
Mhm.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Good, good, good. So, all right. So I'm on the opposite end, so I guess it's a little bit weird, but I just wanted to first say to everyone, if you guys don't know, this is Erin. She is fabulous. Okay, we
Hi.
absolutely adore her. And so today we wanted to be able to talk to you guys a little bit about Sophistone Demi. And we have some lighteners and some other things, but we just wanted to be able to talk to you about some technique, formula, um, just give you a little bit of insight into, what you can do and when you get back into the salon and, we're able to kind of get back into the swing of things. And I think we're heading in that direction. So I'm hoping that Sue will be able to do that. Once again, I hope everyone is safe and at home. So I'm not going to blabber on too long. But what I want to do is hand it over to Erin, and we're going to talk about creating beautiful natural redheads. And I think that that's so fun because a lot of times I think everybody always wants to go for that punch, right? And they want to
Yes.
have this super punchy red, but a lot of times there's also this element where it's really about making sure that it looks natural and it looks like it could have grown out the head that way.
Yeah, I agree. That's my favorite. That's my favorite kind of copper is basically like a enhanced natural.
Hmm.
And that's what I want to talk about, what I formulated with today, because you always want to add a little neutral into your copper formulas just to take that bite off. You want it to be vibrant, but in the natural, vibrant area. So,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely. This is the model that I've prepared for you guys. I've named her Tina.
Oh,
Morning,
she's
Tina.
cute.
And yesterday I was able to prepare her with just like this really subtle sun-kissed highlight. And I want to show you the pattern that I used on her today. And this is a color pattern that you can actually do for brunettes too. It's not going to give you like maximum blonding brightening, but it is going to give you that sparkle. So
Hmm.
this sparkle highlight pattern that I want to show you guys is going to look great with the copper toners that I used on her, but I really recommend this for brunettes too. It's a great this is a great highlighting pattern for brunettes, and I have my other doll here that I'm going to demo this pattern for you, and I have her all sectioned out already on her one side. So let me get this lined up so that you can see. So basically, I'm going to show you how to give her a nice face frame highlight with some tips and then some sparkles on top. So this is where we're going to begin. So she's got a section going from like her money piece right here in the bang, and that
Yep.
section goes all the way down until her nape. And basically, we're just going to have like a little bit of a 1/2 inch to 1 inch section around her face. And then that's where we're going to get started over here on this side. So, can you guys see everything okay? It's my
Yeah.
tray. I've got
Yeah.
my Framework brushes on here. And I've got the SOPHISTONE Elite Powder in here with 20 volume and a couple different sizes of foils. I always use wide foils and then these smaller foils in the salon. Sometimes I use long foils too, but I don't have those here during quarantine.
That's
So
that's what happens when we're in quarantine. Um,
we're just making do with what we have at home.
it's
So,
okay.
so
For sure.
basically, you want to begin this first section around her face and determine how much pop you want her to have. I want her to have face frame highlights that are soft. So I'm gonna keep it kind of small around her face, just like three quarters of an inch, honestly, right here. And we're gonna take the section, bring it all the way down to her nape, leaving about the same amount of hair around the whole thing. So
Cool. And then once you get that section out, will you do me a favor and turn her just so that they can see the part as
absolutely.
well once you get a chance?
Yeah, so here's my section.
Cool.
Goes all the way up to her bang, all the way around down the ear, and then back to the nape, just there. And right here is where we're going to determine a lot just in this section right now, guys. And if you break these things down before you actually begin applying, it's going to be a lot easier. This is kind of like creating your roadmap. So here we are at the bang. And I know that this piece right here is her money piece. This is the piece that she's going to see. This is the piece we want usually to be the brightest on most people. So we're going to section this out and keep it for later. The way I'm going to find this section is just by going on her hairline right here, and I'm going to find the corner of her recession, just like this with my comb, and I'm going to take that straight back to the section I already created. So here's our money piece right here, guys. This is what she came for, what she's paying for. So keep this for later, and we're going to get to that. And then now we have this area that's like face frame behind the ear and at the nape. And we're going to section out from behind the ear forward. Now this is what she's going to see around her face. Also very, very important. So we'll keep this for later. But breaking it down helps us predetermine what we're going to do and how we're going to get where we want to go. So here we are at her nape, and if you know me or you get your hair done by me, you know that I always like to highlight this area. Even though my clients don't see it, I always tell people that it's for the people, that the girl behind you in yoga class or something. I'm like, it's for me, just let me do it. It's for her behind you in class. So you just want to, even if it's 2 foils, and that's about what my standard is, even if it's 2 foils, you do want to connect the hairline. You always want to have, if you have highlights around the face up here, you want to have them in the back too, just so it looks natural and not like you got it done in the salon. So I'm going to get started with putting some foils in her, and I'm going to leave a lot of space between her foils. I don't want her to be dense blonde. Remember, we're not going blonde. We just want this copper to sparkle. So I'm going to do 2 foils back here, and I'm kind of going to baby light her, so nothing too crazy. Just a few baby lights. And this is just to connect her front face frame to the back. And it's always a little funny doing doll head hair because obviously these guys do not feel the same as real human heads, and they kind of move around with you. So I actually am glad that I got to do my other model's hair yesterday just to kind of get a feel for this, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, it has been a while since I've done hair on a doll head. And it felt kind of strange at first, but I have to say that it was really fun getting into this yesterday and doing a little hair, even if it was on a doll. Feels really good. I can't wait to be back in the salon. So here we are, foil number 2 back here, you guys. And remember to leave a little space between these guys. We don't need her to be super blonde back here. So again, just a little baby light weave back here. We just want to create a little bit of iridescence and sparkle in her end result of copper. So awesome. Here we are. You can kind of see how much hair I'm taking in this. Just a little weave.
Now, Erin, how long would this application typically take you if you were working like behind the chair and you had to do it start to finish?
Probably about 45 minutes for the actual application.
Okay.
And I typically book an hour out for partials just
Okay.
because sometimes you never know if they're going to have a ton of hair or if you're running behind or you need to go put a toner on somebody. So I typically book an hour out for any partial that I have, but most of the time they don't actually take the full hour. Okay, so that's our back hairline. Here we go, nice and neat. And so I like to tip as I go. And on most of my highlight services, if you don't already have light ends, I want to add a tiny bit in here just so it doesn't get darker towards the ends.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's just a little bit back here, I actually want the front of her hair to be more where the pop is. So I'm just going to tease up most of the hair and put a small tip down here at the bottom. And that is going to connect everything in this section. So here we go, and I'm really only tipping out like the lower, half or 1/3 of her hair strand back here. I really just want it to flow down to the bottom, but I'm not trying to make her a blonde. Again, this is just kind of like a sparkly pattern that is great on redheads and great on brunettes. Okay, so that's my whole back. Here I am around the face. So up here, it depends on what, I'm just going to clip this out of the way so that you guys can see. It really depends on what your client wants. You need to find out during your consultation how bright she wants to be around the face. I have a lot of girls that really like that blonde to come all the way up to the skin. But for now, I'm honestly trying to just give her dimension. So I don't really want to do my foils straight up to her hairline like this. I'm going to kind of make them diagonal sections throughout this part of her head, and I'm not going to put that many, honestly. I think on this highlight, there's probably about maybe 40 foils on the entire thing. So if you aren't talking and explaining it fully while you're doing it, you can actually, this is a service that you can do pretty quickly in the salon. And we are mainly focusing around, her hairline, what she sees, and kind of like the exterior. I'll show you when we get to the top. I think that sometimes we have a tendency to over highlight, and you end up losing a lot of depth that way. And sometimes less is more. And when you can, when you can master that technique of less is more, not only are you preserving more of the hair's integrity, you are saving time, and you're preserving the hair's natural depth too. So I kind of have a lot of hair in this section, and I'm not going to leave the whole thing. I'm going to pull these little baby-like pieces from the top of it, and I can actually bring my other completed model back in here, but when you see this dry on the hairline, it looks like little ribbons, which again, you need to consult with your client fully before determining what what she wants at the very end. But a lot of times just leaving that space in between creates really, really beautiful results.
Erin, we have a question coming in.
Yeah.
And the question was, what about the baby hair? Do you encompass baby hair, or do you leave it out? Like, what are you, or do you do a combination of both? Like, is it?
Generally, I do highlight it. You want to be really gentle when you highlight it.
Okay.
Obviously, those hairs are sometimes like half as fine as the hair in the rest of the head. So it may be something that you need to come back and check sooner than the rest.
Okay.
So don't forget about them. But also when people have like dark in here, if you have a dark corner in here, or some, I have a really big recession on my head too. So if you left that out and I pulled a ponytail back, it would look like I had a dark corner right
For
there.
sure.
So
For sure.
I do want to include them. However, you just don't want to forget about them. So even if that means like folding those particular foils in a different way so that you remember to come back and check them, or
Mm-hmm.
You know, often when I'm done with, it's kind of the same with her back hairline hairs. Often when I'm done with just this side of the face frame, I'll take this down, go in and check those guys, and just make sure that the heat from her skin on her neck hasn't just made them pop up.
Gotcha.
So yeah, corners right here, you do want to get in there. She's got a ton of hair. Nobody really has super strong and long corners like this doll
Yeah.
head does. So we can really get in there on her. But yeah, I never like to leave those out.
Okay.
So
Cool.
this is my last foil in the section around her face. And then we're going to go in and tease this area as well. And you guys, you always want to keep your sections super clean and tidy. Super clean application means a super clean result. So this right here, this is going to be falling in front of her face. So this along with this is very important, and you're going to see them the most. So I actually do want the sections around her face to have a more heavy pop. So I'm going to tease them, but only a little bit. And I'm going to leave quite a bit of hair out up here. The other thing that I'm going to do too, you guys, is I'm over directing the teased section towards her face. This means that when the color is dried and toned, this is going to just lay softer. So since I want such a large piece here, I'm going to diffuse it even more by over directing it. And then again, remember, this is like really visual teasing. You can really, if you don't want to see that much, you know, at the ends, tease more hair up. If you do want to see a really dramatic pop down there, leave most of the hair out. And when you foil these, really make sure saturation is key, obviously, with everything, but really make sure you get in there with this. And also, just to make it more and more blended, you know, we do all these little things throughout the service to make it soft and blended. We tease, we over direct, and then also make sure you always want to feather upwards with any type of teased tip situation like this. This is really going to make that blend when you remove the foil soft and beautiful, which is most important.
And we have another question coming in, if it's okay. Okay, so how long do you think a client could go before they would have to come back in for a touch-up?
With this service?
Yes, with this
honestly,
particular.
so long, because
okay.
This will grow out really well. So, I mean, it depends on if you have gray hair or if you do a base or not, but 6 months, it's so
Cool.
funny. I may be the worst person to rebook because whenever I get asked of when should I come back, I don't know, whenever you don't like your hair anymore. So often I will try and apply color to people for longevity, and that's just my nature. So with this, I would say if she's a young girl, honestly, 6 months, you know, everyone has that client that's like the one annual highlight too.
Yes.
I love those girls.
Yes.
Now, to the salon, they have a whole new world.
It's the truth. Now, would you say that, you know, because I know that you were just saying if you had gray that you were going to cover, you were doing a base on it. Yeah. Would you base it first and then do your application, or would you, like, are you a person who likes to put their base on during, like,
you know, I do it first, and I just like doing things, you know, one at a time, unless I'm really pressed for time. So I would do a base first, and then I would foil over it, and then additionally tone afterwards. I would, and then just a reminder up here, you guys, this is our money piece that we're at right now. This bang piece, very important. So with her, I want her bang to be kind of popping. I want to really see that pop, but I also want it to be soft. So I'm going to do a really heavy weave up here and not leave space in between the foils. Still going to be woven for softness, but I'm going to pack a few foils in just right here because I know that's what she wants to see. A
What
nice,
girl doesn't want to see that?
I mean, we gotta give her what she came for, right?
For sure.
Okay, so yeah, you know, and the other thing, I'm glad we're talking about bases because copper bases, for some reason, or just red bases in general, I think people are really freaked out by. I don't
Yeah.
know why. Formulating red, I definitely have known some colorists that don't feel super comfortable with reds. And well, I really love them. And maybe I feel more comfortable with them because I've always loved them. I feel like when I do get a copper or red girl in my chair, it's kind of like you get a unicorn for the day. And I think just from loving it so much, I have honed in on an area that I really love, like a result that I really love. So any of my red girls are kind of all in the same copper family. That's just because that's what my eyes like to see. And so for bases, must remember when you're formulating a permanent base or a smudge for someone that wants to be copper, you really want to take the edge off of that. Like with toners, you can punch it up a little bit more, but you never really want that base at her root to come out super hot. So I recommend mixing a formula that is either 2/3 N, 1/3 copper, or 3/4 N and 1/4 copper. And just trust me on that. The heat from their skin mixed with a neutral is already going to give a warm result. I feel like most of us all are adding in green or blue to base formulas for people that don't want to be warm. So you really don't need to go crazy with the base part. You can go crazy with the toners, but I think my best advice for people formulating somebody to go red or copper is to put most of that base formula a neutral.
Cool.
So
I think
here
that's
I
great
am.
too.
Last piece up here on her money piece, you all. And again, a lot, but baby fine pieces, but packing them in. I didn't leave any space in these 4 foils right here. So that's going to give her that nice pop that she wants to see.
Now, are there times where you might opt into maybe like slicing or, instead of a weave?
Yeah, I actually slice a lot, but I do it on a lot of my blondes. Those girls are going for the full impact and the full result. And when you're doing a brunette or when you're doing a redhead and you're just trying to add that sparkle, I say that word probably too much. Go for a weave. It's softer. You know, if you don't want that blonde to your skin pop around your face, then this is the way to go. So I'm going to tease this part now. So this is just right in front of her face. This is the end of the money piece still. So right here, I do want this to go high up, much higher than the rest of my tease sections are going to be. I'm going to bring this honestly kind of up to the base of her eyes. And I'm also going to over direct the section right in front of her face. It's not going to go down. It's going to go up and forward. And we're going to leave a pretty good amount of hair in there too, because I want to see that pop in there.
Another question coming in was about like low lighting. Is this something where you might incorporate a low light at some point, depending on, who this person is and where they're kind of living? Like, would you ever incorporate low lighting?
I really do love a low light. And I think if I was trying, she came, basically with depth.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm adding in that sparkle. But if she had a lot of previous highlights and I wanted to take her down to my end result, I absolutely would. I would actually I would add a lot of depth on the inside of her, like right in here. I have her sectioned out over here on the side. So here's the sections that we just did. We did nape of the neck, above the ear, money and bank piece. And then we have her mohawk area sectioned out up top here. This is kind of from the parietal area to the back of the crown. And this is what's gonna lay on top. So inside of here, this section that's left out, you know, if she has natural depth already, like my model here does, you could just leave that if you wanted to, or leave the entire inside and only tip out the bottom. Or this would be a great area to add low lights into, so that all of this pop around the hairline that I've brightened, this can be the contrast, and they will make each other look more interesting. That's why I recommend a lot of people to keep this area a little shadowed. Sometimes people want to be blonde all throughout, and it just takes away the shadows, takes away the depth.
For sure,
So
for sure.
Here's where we're at, guys. So we've got her whole hairline all done. Honestly, if you didn't want to throw any on top, you could leave her here. Keep in mind that these foils kind of go with where you want the blonde to be. This tease tip is higher up near her face, and then they get lower as we go back, because we really want this highlight to just flow short to long, brighter on the face, a little darker in the back. So now what to do on top of that, I'm going to take the same section as I did on the other side. We're going to take the corner right here near the parietal, and we're going to make a section all the way back to the crown, and that'll kind of be your standard mohawk area. And since I just put a little bit of sparkle around her face, I want to add a few pieces to the top up here too. So here's my mohawk section. There's her face frame, and I only have a little bit of hair up here on this side, and honestly, I'm not going to put very many foils into it either. I just want to show you guys that putting a few in there can have a pretty big and nice impact, especially when you aren't trying to go blonde and you're just trying to create a little bit of sparkle and dimension. This is where you move to my wide foils, you guys. These wide ones, I don't know if you use them. They're like an amazing life hack. It's just these guys that you standard use in the salon, and these are not torn. So just put a little edge on wide foil. And up here, around the face, you kind of want to take smaller pieces for the highlights, but up here on top, I actually like to take bigger ones. Keep in mind, I am going to do a root shadow on her, but sometimes I take wider pieces up here. I don't know if you guys can see me picking them up with my comb. These laying on top of her depth create a very nice effect. And even though they're large pieces, these turn out to be very seamless and airy at the very end. I'm going to use my wide frame art brush now. I always have both sizes in my bowl. Does anybody else do that? I always have two brushes in any bowl at any given time, because I just like to have the options. That's kind of a little trick that I have.
That's a great tip. That's an awesome tip.
You can have it all, guys. You don't have to pick one. Okay, so just folding this big foil. I actually call these foils Big Daddy foils. You guys are welcome to use that too. It's just funny. These big foils, I mean, they kind of look awkward, and at first if you're not used to using them, but they're great. You can cover a lot of ground in here, and it's a great way to have a lot of impact with not a lot of foils. Like I said, I think there's about maybe 35 to 40 foils on this whole service. So that makes for a quick appointment and more time.
For sure. I love that. It's almost like working smarter, not harder, for sure.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And you don't need someone to hold foils for you for these either. You can totally do it on your own. So yeah, here we have larger pieces. You can see this, they're not super thick, but they're kind of wide.
Yeah.
So here we are, and this section is covering the entire mohawk area. And, you know, if you foil your client up one side at a time like this, you know, you just want to make sure that you obviously check and attend to the side you started on first.
Yes.
Don't leave her on too long. To be honest with you, in the salon, I often, if I'm doing more than just a couple highlights on the back hairline, I will start spoiling the entire back of the head first. Mm-hmm. And move on to the front after. That for me just makes me feel safe, because if the back is ready to go, I know I can rinse it off right when it's ready, and I don't need to keep it on because the front foils aren't ready yet. So
for sure,
yeah, main thing, we always want to make sure that we're keeping the integrity of the hair. I want to show you guys how I'm picking up these pieces. Okay, so you can see her section, and I don't know, this makes it really easy. Take the tip of your comb and just lay it on her skin. I don't know if you guys can see that part. So yeah, I'm just kind of running it along and weaving up and down and grabbing pieces that I want to see lighter right off of her scalp. Mm-hmm. That for me is a really easy way to get this nice, perfect veil highlight section right here.
Yeah. Now, I know you said that you could do this without an assistant. Are you one that do you tend to not work with an assistant, or are you one that tends to work with an assistant?
No, I'm actually so dependent on my assistant.
Okay, cool.
And it's so funny, you just get completely spoiled
for sure,
by, you know, not having to clean up after yourself, and someone handling things like color inventory, and you just walk in and all that stuff's done and ready for you. So no, I'm completely dependent. And but for some reason, foil wise, I am independent. I don't necessarily need somebody to be holding it for me. And actually, if it's somebody that's not good at holding foils, or if they're maybe they're new or something like that, then it can be a little bit more less helpful, if you know what I mean.
For sure, for sure.
Sometimes it's just, you know, you want to get it done, so you just do it yourself.
For sure. That totally makes sense. Now, while you're foiling, can you tell us a little bit about like your clientele, and like, you know, have you always been in California? Like what's kind of a little bit about your backstory?
So I have always been in California. I am born and raised Southern California. I grew up in San Diego, and then when I was 18, I went to beauty school at a Paul Mitchell school in downtown San Diego. And immediately after I graduated, I moved to Los Angeles, and I started working in Beverly Hills in 2009. So I have been here for 11 years. Working in Beverly Hills, which is just so crazy to me, you guys. It doesn't feel that long, so it's a little scary. Okay, so here I am on the top, and this is her part where she wears her hair right here, all the way up at the center, and I'm just gonna grab the pieces. Now I'm gonna go a little bit finer up here, but I am just gonna grab these pieces right off of her part, because then I know exactly what is going to shine through. Just up here on top. Yeah, so always been in California, and have been working in Beverly Hills now for 11 years. And, you know, it's funny, when I moved here, I thought I wouldn't stay this long. I thought that you know, I trained in Beverly Hills for 2 years, and then I maybe moved to New York or something like that. And here I am, you know, this industry, you plant your roots and they start to grow with a clientele, and then you fall in love with your clientele, and then you know, you never want to leave, you know,
Yeah,
like where would you go?
for sure, for
Um,
sure.
so I just want to show you how I'm going to marry all of this. So she's got all of her hairline tips on. And now we've got about 5 foils up on top here. And these are just going to create a nice veil over the top, little sparkles coming through here. So I do want to connect these ends
Hmm.
and tease these out, but just a little bit. Remember, I want her hairline to be that bright pop back here. Back here is going to be a little more diffused. We're going to take all the hair from the foils, this hair, and we're going to section this guy up. And we're going to start with underneath. This is the area that we have not touched yet.
Hmm.
And this is the area that is her depth, really. And this is if somebody was a little too light and you wanted to add in more contrast to her, this right here, this middle area inside is where you would put low lights in, just in here. And then keep that brightness around her hairline and a little bit of sparkle on top. So underneath here, I really want to keep most of her natural, but I don't want her ends to be darker than her roots, which is a no-no. You can't do that. You definitely want it to be at least the same lightness, if not the lightest. And I think most of us definitely lean towards the ends being the lightest. So
Yeah.
back here, I'm only going to break this up into 2 sections. You're going to have to determine how many sections you can do on your client. She loses a little density towards the ends. So back here, I'm just going to do 2 small teased sections back here. And this is only going to connect to the tips through her ends. So just some really baby fine teases in here, you guys. Not a lot of hair you can see. And the nice thing about teased highlights is you literally can see exactly how much you are putting in there. If you want this to be really dramatic, leave more hair out of the tease. And if you want it to be really, really wispy and subtle, then tease most of the hair up and out of the section.
Awesome. You're getting comments here. There's a couple comments that were saying that they had never seen foil being used like that, and they loved it. So I thought,
ooh,
that
the
was
white
really
foil.
sweet.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm so happy to share that. It is going to, well, just one, bring you joy, because I think just doing that much at once, and then just save you time too. Save you time.
For sure, for
Okay,
sure.
so here's where we're at, guys. All we have is the hair that's left out from our mohawk foil right here. So we have quite a lot of hair in here. I know that this part here gets pretty close to her hairline. So just like a little bit from the front here, I'm going to over direct towards the front, and we're going to give it to her right here. But back here, we're going to keep her nice and low, nice and diffused. We don't want to go too crazy. So we're going to tease most of the hair up back here. And this is something that you can do. I mean, even if you're not doing my highlighting pattern, if you're doing however you usually do a partial on someone, go through and grab the ends after you put all the root foils in and just connect it. It's really the easiest and like the quickest part of the service, but it makes, honestly, it makes all the difference. You never want your ends to look muddy, and that is something that you'll see sometimes. And it just, even if you can't put your fingers on it, you know, it doesn't look good to your eyes. It really doesn't. We're very much mimicking children's hair color, and I know that that's like the whole concept behind the lived-in look. You know, children always have lighter hair in the face and lighter ends. Natural hair always looks like that. Okay, so here we are, guys. This is hair pulled from her mohawk section. We've over-directed it forward, though. And I'm going to actually place this one right up here near this one because we want her hairline to pop.
For sure.
And yeah, so that after this one, this is that whole side of the head. And sometimes I do one half first like this, and it just works out. And you just, you know, you always just want to be really careful to never leave anything on too long. So just make
For
sure
sure.
you remember the order in which you place these on, and you're basically going to be taking them off in the exact same order.
Great.
So here we are, nice heavy piece, you guys, because I want her hairline to pop. And once we've got it all saturated.
And I think that moved pretty quickly.
What's that?
I said, I think that moved pretty quickly, honestly,
it probably maybe would have done it twice as fast had I not been talking. So yeah, this is something maybe you can do in 45 minutes on a client. And don't forget to feather up at the end of every tease section. That feathering motion is really going to help your end result. If there's a hard line right there, even if you've teased a lot, it's not going to fall in a nice, soft, pretty way. So feathering, over directing, teasing, all ways to make these really soft and diffused. So here she is, whole half head's done over here. And we haven't really done that much, you guys. We've done, you know, 2 foils back here on her back hairline, 1 tip. I think around her face and sides, these are just 4 foils right here and 1 tip. Got about 4 up here for the power pop right there and 2 tips, and then about 5 on top. So something that you can do really quick.
Yeah,
really quick.
Actually, it looks, you know what's so funny? It looks pretty. Like even though it's placement and it's in there, it's like, it looks like it's going to be pretty. You know?
I know. Well, that's the thing about keeping your, that's the thing about keeping your sections neat. You know, if you keep your section really neat, your result is going to be really neat. But I do think clients like seeing this. I think when it even looks pretty while you're processing, then they feel confident. Oh, okay, if I look good like this and it looks organized, then you know, they have more confidence in you, I think.
For sure. I would agree 100%.
You know, let me show you again now, since we're foiled up over here. I want to show you when I did do the exact same sectioning on this. I'll definitely tone her differently later.
Yeah.
But this is how it came out, and it's kind of hard to see with the lighting inside my home because we're quarantined. But let me see if I can get a good shot of this. So you can see that she's got these ribbons around her hairline. Do you all see that? That's
Absolutely.
because I left space in between these foils. Now, some women don't want that result, but since we're just giving her that sparkle highlight, this is what it looks like when you leave hair out, basically, and you don't over highlight. So let me see if I can get a good shot over here too.
Says hello, by the way, and that it looks gorgeous.
Oh, hello!
He's sending you hearts.
Welcome to my living room. Yeah, so if you guys can see a good shot of this, see she's got that pop right there in the front. It's a little heavier towards her face and a little bit more diffused back here towards the back. And if she were to let this exact hairline pattern, this highlight pattern grow out, I mean, 6 months, 8 months, all you really need to tell your clients to do if they don't have gray hair is just to come in for toners. This will look beautiful in 6 months. You just maybe throw a little gloss over the top, 3 months in, 4 months in, something like that. But and then there's people that just fade so beautifully. Your annual hair highlight girls that come back and you're like, what are you even doing here? It looks so good.
It's the
do you want to talk about the toners that I did?
Yes, yeah. So I would love to know what you used. I'm totally curious.
Okay, so it was really fun formulating with SOPHISTONE because you guys have so many beautiful warm colors, and that is where my heart is. That's what my eyes like to see. So on her roots, I did a little bit of a blend up here, and it was my recommended blend on top to add in some neutral, you guys, because you just want to do it. You want to take that bite off. She's very vibrant, but she definitely she's got 1/3 6N in her root formula. She's got 1/3 6CR, and that is my most vibrant. And then she has 1/3 6BE in her base. So I wanted to add in gold, copper and a neutral up here, and you can see she's nice and warm, but she doesn't have anything hot. Nothing
For
hot
sure.
flaring up on top. You really don't. You want to avoid with your reds having that hot root, basically.
Yeah.
But it looks like a shiny area, and it's really obvious on red hair. And so through her ends, I used this color, just the name of it, 9CR. It's a copper blonde. I don't know if that alone excites me so much. 9CR, oh my God, like makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. So I used 9CR, an ounce and a half of that, and I put a half ounce of 8GC, which is a gold copper. Since these dolls lift kind of funny, I just felt like we needed to add a little bit more fullness in for her. So half ounce of 8GC, gold copper, and then I did a cap of red additive just for good measure on her. I'm going to try and give you a good visual. That tone came out so pretty. It's just this warm, coppery, honey, copper blonde that that I love so much. Yeah.
So someone is actually asking what the BE is. So I wanted to just give a little bit of clarification. So BE in SOPHISTONE is our beige category. So what's really, really nice about it, I always tell people if they're looking to get true sand, it's a really, really great way to be able to get that. Because there's a little bit of warmth there, but it's very, very controlled.
Yes.
So it's really, really pretty. Just because someone was asking, and I wanted to just clarify that really quick.
The warm tones in that family are so yummy. Gold coppers, beige neutrals, so pretty. And I always tone warm if my client will let me. I'm so grateful that we're moving past the fear of warmth and the want for ash, because those don't really enhance anybody's natural tones. So even if I was making this blonde or putting these highlights on blonde, a toner like 9CR would be gorgeous, even over a neutral base. Warm colors enhance your skin, bring out warmth in your eyes, and I recommend them for anyone that will let me.
For sure. And just for people who are on and you're not familiar with SOPHISTONE, that the 9CR is really, really pretty. It almost has a little bit of a rosiness to it.
Yes.
You know, it's not
like
so
apricot or something.
Yes, exactly.
Apricot. Oh,
exactly.
Another word that gets me all warm and fuzzy. I love it when it comes to hair. Apricot blonde. That'll be our next one.
For sure. There's definitely a peachiness to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very beautiful. It's actually one of my favorites too. So if you haven't got to use that, it's really a game changer. I know, right? I'm like, bring on the coppers and I'm there. For sure. Okay, so you guys, so Erin has taken us through an application. We're coming up on our closing time together, but I feel like that went by really, really quick, first of all.
I know, I was worried I was going to take too long with it.
No, you were amazing. I just wanted to thank you for coming on and spending the time and showing us some placement. You know, we were really excited about having you on and being able to just showcase you a little bit. And we are so appreciative. For those of you who don't follow her, what's your handle so people know where to find you?
Erin_McKay, ERIN_MCKAY. You can follow me.
Cool. Perfect. So please follow her. She's fabulous. We absolutely adore her, and we hope that we'll be able to bring her back on again. So if there's anything that you guys are looking to see or would like to see, please leave it in the comments.
Let me know, because this was really fun. I have to say, it felt a little weird at first. My boyfriend wanted me to do a doll in the living room, but oh my God, it was actually really fun. So any other techniques you guys want me to share?
I would love that. Okay, so I'm just going to run through. Okay, so everyone is saying thank you, thank you, thank you. You were fabulous. Give me more, give me more.
We can do that. We've got
So,
more.
yeah, we've definitely got more in store. Thank you guys so much. Once again, we hope that everyone is in the house safe and at home. We
Yes.
hope that we're going to be moving on from that hopefully soon. But to everyone, we're thinking of them. And once again, we are here Wednesdays and Fridays to bring you technique and or an opportunity to meet and greet with some of our staff that you don't get to normally see on a regular basis. So we'll
Which
see
is
you
so fun
Friday.
for me too.
Yes.
I tune into all of them.
Yay. Oh, I love that. So, it makes me feel good because I feel like we're doing something right to give back to our stylist community. And I think that that's so important. So yeah, so we'll
Yeah,
see you
it's
guys
great to stay engaged
Friday.
right now, honestly. It is, and I'm so grateful for these lives and stories and
Yeah,
everyone sharing what they're doing because it's good to stay connected even though we're all separate. So this is just a good way for me to stay connected with all of you too.
I love that so much. Erin, thank you so much. I
Thank
will be
you.
texting
Thanks
you
for having
after
me.
this. I heart you so much. And I will see you hopefully sooner than later, my love.
Can't wait.
Bye.
Bye.